All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Unvarnished. Today we are excited to invite in Jordan Darragh from PrintReleaf. Hey, Jordan.
Chris, Darren, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, we'll start out with some really easy questions. For those in our audience who may not know who PrintReleaf is, give us a lowdown. What's PrintReleaf?
Sure. Yeah, we're relatively new to the commercial print space and the D-Scoop community. Our PrintReleaf is a certification system for measuring paper consumption and environmental impact associated with that. And we do that in really two different ways. We understand what the forest impact was, how many trees were harvested to produce the paper consumed, whether it's with a print job or a batch of print jobs. And now we can also measure the carbon footprint associated with that same print job. So we measure it, but then we make it actionable. Commercial printers, we work with them, and then we sell our solution through to end customers, and they can opt into PrintReleaf and decide where they either want to reforest their print job into a whole network of managed forests we have around the world, or they can offset the carbon associated with the job, or both. And so that's end-to-end kind of what it is, how it works, and it's all certified, so it's all governed through a third-party certifying body to ensure the performance of the system.
We'll get into some questions about details on that because I'm sure we're gonna have them, and I already have them. How did it start? How did PrintReleaf come to be?
It started about 10 years ago. I own another company called Everworks. It's in the managed print space. So managed print is often associated with office printing. And we had customers that were asking about sustainability and solutions that we could offer them. And the solutions we had then were like recycled toner cartridges, recycling paper, Energy Star ratings, and just the idea emerged for me personally that, what if we could figure out how many trees need to be planted to offset the paper consumed? And so that led me down a path to do some research. I found what appeared to be the most widely accepted calculation for measuring paper associated with trees, and that's through the Environmental Paper Network and their life cycle assessment. It was just over 8,000 sheets of paper equals one tree. So we started taking this idea to them and saying, well, here's how many pages you printed over the last year, and we'll go plant these trees. Through, at the time, reputable partners like Nature Conservancy, Arbor Day Foundation, we would just go plant the trees through them and give them a certificate that happened in their name. And so it was that simple. And once we started rolling it out, we had really good response from the customers. And so we started sharing the idea with some of the manufacturers that we were representing in the office print space, and that company, Xerox, Lexmark. And so they said, that's a cool idea. Why don't you figure out how we could share it with the industry? So we spun the idea out into its own company called PrintReleaf, and we put some capital behind it and a lot of energy and built it into a software platform, and ultimately took it to market and started licensing it to these manufacturers like Xerox, Lexmark, their customers, and it just started to grow from there. And then fast forward to the last few years, when COVID hit, a lot of people retreated from the office, and so that kind of set us back. We had to reinvent ourselves, and we found the commercial print segment was interested in what we're doing, and so we engineered the product to fit the function and workflow of a commercial print operation, and figured out how to thread the needle to work with commercial printers. And so that's kind of where we are today. We actually do more business in the commercial print segment than we do in the office print segment.
Wow. Well, that kind of leads to my next question, which was who's using it?
So there's really two tiers to how we go to market. So just for context of the D-Scoop community, our direct customer is the commercial printers themselves. And so we work with over 100 commercial printers now around the world. Most of them are in North America. And so they'll take our solution and extend it to end customers. And it's really anybody. It could be a large enterprise, a retail shop. It could be a university, a school district. And they can apply it to any any print job. So whether it's a magazine or a catalog or business cards, posters, anything that's either fiber based, that we can measure the forest impact. And then now we're starting to do a little bit more in plastics where we can measure the carbon footprint as well. But that's who's using it. It's just kind of a two-tier distribution model, going through the commercial printers and then taking it out to their end customers that are interested in it.
Yeah, I just saw actually that one of our friends, our D Scoop friends in Japan, his company signed up, Yukinori Akamoto from
Yeah,
Goof. So
yeah. I had the pleasure of meeting him at the D Scoop event and the Edge event in St. Louis, and they're our first commercial print partner actually in Japan. So we're excited about that one.
that is exciting.
Yeah,
So you are a global entity. You're working out everywhere around the globe then?
yeah. We're the software itself is in 12 different languages, so we can work in Asia Pac, really across all of Europe and the different requirements there, and then obviously North America, South America. We even have some business in Africa as well, in Australia.
Nice. So, all right, going back to some of the details.
Yeah.
Certification, verification. Why are they important? What's the difference?
The first, let's answer the last part first. It's important because there's a lot of greenwashing, and we learned this in month 2 of spinning PrintReleaf out as its own entity. Because prior to that, as I was telling the story about how it started, we were just planting trees and then funding projects, but there was no certification. We were just crossing our fingers, hoping that trees got planted. And one of our first big customers, Xerox, said, well, how do we know the trees got planted? We said, well, we don't know. We're just using reputable partners. And that wasn't good enough. So that led us down a path to figure out how we could create a layer of certification over the whole system. And so we started interviewing companies that do this, measurement and verification companies that work in like ISO standards or even industry standards for the print business, like FSC, PEFC, SFI. And we found SGS International was one of the most reputable, if not the most reputable company in the space. I worked closely with a gentleman named Ron Wald, who is head of forestry certification for all of SGS North America. And they helped us develop a whole standard of governance for really what it means to plant a tree with PrintReleaf. So if any one of us was to give $1 to a charity to plant a tree, it really just ends there, and you hope that that happens. When PrintReleaf funds a reforestation project, it comes with strings attached. The partner who's planting the trees needs to have expertise in forestry, and then they have to agree to be audited. So SGS will send feet on the ground people to the forest to audit the performance and make sure that the number of trees certified of being planted to a customer and funded actually have been planted. And then we take it a step further. What we've learned over 10 years is when we plant, just to keep it simple, 100 trees, we know they're not all going to live. You know, some percentage is going to die for one climatic reason or another. And we might lose 10 of them, we might lose 30 of them. But part of that standard of governance is that we will replant any of our losses. So across our whole portfolio of reforestation projects, we're consistently auditing them and then replanting those losses. And to come full circle, what that means is when an end customer opts into PrintReleaf, they can take their message forward or their environmental claim forward with a high level of confidence and integrity that we're not greenwashing, that all of this has been independently verified by SGS for performance through PrintReleaf.
So, how are printers using it? Are they using it as marketing? Are they using it because they want to do it, like out of a social responsibility? Or can you even answer that?
Yeah. So I think the printers are working with us because their customers are interested. So the customer interest drives the interest and demand. And that's often coming from two different places, if not both. Either they want to be more sustainable, Sustainability is not going away. It's only increasing in terms of interest across really every industry. And so you have customers that are looking for ways to become more sustainable through really anything that they do. But printing is one of those functions where they're looking for options. And so we provide one of those options. And so they can become more sustainable by opting into a program like PrintReleaf and check a box that's sort of safe for environmental interest or compliance. At the same time, they want to communicate what they're doing to their stakeholders. So that could be in the form of a CSR report, a newsletter, social media, and we give them all of those tools, reporting, integrations with social media to make it easy for them to take their participation in the program and promote and communicate their impact as a result.
Darren, you have some questions?
I do. I have a few. So I'm going to let you pick, Jordan. Do you want a question about yourself, which I find to be really interesting, and I have it in the form of a game, or do you want two questions about sort of the larger picture, environmental and print and technology movement, which I have two questions for that are really fun. So you get to pick.
Well, I don't like talking about myself, so let's do the latter.
Oh, we're going to get to all three.
Okay, that's fine.
Um, it's cool that this idea that you're helping companies in our industry turn essentially what their environmental commitments are into action, into real action, which doesn't always happen, I think, with sustainability initiatives. Um, I'd like to ask you about those commitments themselves. So, in your position, in your team's position, you've probably heard about, seen, read a lot of the print industry's sustainability goals
Yeah.
over the years. Any trends or interesting things that you've noticed about what those are?
Well, yes, a number of companies are making public-facing commitments and pledges to be carbon neutral by X point in time. So 2030, 40, 50, they've got an ambitious goal to reduce their carbon footprint and then neutralize it. And so there's a lot of different approaches and methodologies to accomplish that. And it's a complex puzzle. You would say it's a 100-piece puzzle. Printing might be one small piece of that overall puzzle. They're looking at their emissions across their entire organization, especially related to energy consumption. But we're one piece of the puzzle, and so it depends at what stage in the supply chain we're talking about. For a printer themselves, they might be looking at how they're consuming energy, how they're delivering printed products to a fleet of vehicles, the materials that they're using, and their consumption, and what's the carbon footprint associated with that. And the carbon emissions get categorized into three different scopes: 1, 2, and 3. Their direct burn, their electricity or energy, and then everything else is their scope 3. And so what we do fits into their scope 3. And so again, we're bringing one little piece of the puzzle to them. But when you add it all up, if they're going to do 50 different things or 100 different things in parallel, it's helping them on that journey, again, by 2030, 2040, to reduce and potentially offset along the way. So I don't know if that completely answers your question, but that's how I think people are thinking about it.
It is. It's a perfect segue into the other one, actually, on the business side, which is so I get that it's a tech platform that analyzes in some way like paper and fiber consumption, lots of different formats you probably do that in, basically measuring paper usage.
Yeah.
Um, what does a what does a printer need or any company need to know or prepare before you get there, so to speak, about like gathering data or sort of getting ready for anything that this technology might measure?
Sure. So the first conversation we have is typically with a printer. They either find out about us or one of their customers urges them to look into our services. And the first conversation is really just a discovery call where we're learning and sharing on both sides. We're informing them, who we are, what we do, what the benefit and value is to the environment, but also to them and their customers. And then if they're interested, that leads into a more technical conversation about how would we make this work. And so what we need in order to drive our service for a commercial printer and their customer is the data associated with the paper specs with any particular print job for a single customer, or in some cases thousands of customers. And so we've got some pretty cool tools on the back end where if I'm a commercial printer and I want to enroll 100 customers into PrintReleaf, what we'll collect is often a CSV file with all the different paper specs associated with X customers and Y print jobs. They'll drop that to us once a month, and then we deposit it into our system, and all that data maps to the appropriate customers. And they'll see on a dashboard, here's what our consumption is, here's what the corresponding offset would be for reforestation or carbon offset. They pick their projects that they want to opt into and take action on. We effectively push a button that runs a workflow, plants the trees, offsets the carbon, produces a certificate of reforestation or carbon offset to the customer, stamped by the third-party verification company. We use SGS for the reforestation, and everything we do on carbon is through the Verified Carbon Standard, or VERA. And that's end-to-end how it works. So I went a little further there to your question, but I wanted you to understand, like, here's what we collect, here's how it works, and here's how it flows
Perfect.
downstream. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. That makes sense.
All right. What are you excited about? Like, are you excited where things are headed?
I am. I'm having fun. And I think if you're waking up every day and you want to go to work and you like the people you work with and you like what you're delivering, it's a good thing. And so that's part of, I didn't really mention this at the top, but that's part of why I got into this and invested a lot of time and energy personally into building this company. Is at the end of the day, I felt really good about what we were delivering. More trees are going in the ground, more carbon's being offset. It's adding value to printers, it's adding value to customers. And at the same time, we're building a business, and that gets me going as well. So I'm having fun.
Do you have any thoughts on growing the business in both directions, not just the post carbon, but also helping companies leading up to it, like leading up to the usage, if that makes any sense?
I don't totally get the last part, the leading up part. What do you mean by that?
Well, like helping companies with their sustainability overall. I'm just curious if you have any thoughts about that.
Like as a consultancy?
Yeah. We often get questions that are outside the scope of what we produce and provide. And we don't pretend to be experts on everything. We kind of pick up things along the way, but we're pretty narrow and niche in who we are and what we do. And I'll be the first to raise my hand and say, I didn't really know a lot about commercial printing until 2 or 3 years ago, because I came from the office print side of the print industry, which has got a lot of different segments and can be complex. And so we had to get up and down this learning curve to really understand how commercial printers communicate, how they work, what their workflows are. It's very different than the office print segment. But so yeah, we don't have a ton of expertise to help them about sustainability if they want to get into a conversation about how to reduce their carbon footprint for their facility. We can maybe point them in the right direction, but we're not building products or a consultancy or an advisory to help them in that direction. We're one piece of the puzzle as it is right
All right, Darren, let's
Yeah,
let's have some fun now.
now.
yeah. So this is a game. I'm going to call this game A, B, or both. So
Okay.
you can pick A, B, or both, because I know the answer is not going to be neither.
Okay.
Um, like I said before we got on, it's been really fun getting to know a little bit more about PrintReleaf from your website. Um, it seems like a very cool company doing good things. I didn't know you though until we just met on this call. So
Yeah.
I was trying to picture who you might be without sort of doing too much homework, and it's going to be A, B, or both, and I want you to answer honestly. Are
Sure.
you so to run this company and to have sort of like the intentionality that it seems to have? Uh, are you a lover of nature, like a person who loves the idea of social impact? B, a lover of technology, like a person that gets energy from gadgets and how things work and smart systems, etc. Or both, because it does seem like this is a weird intersection, of maybe both. But I didn't know if you were more one or the other, sort of had to backfill your team based on what the answer is.
Absolutely both. I would even add
Okay.
a third one that I just like building an organization and a business and everything that goes with that. So Definitely both.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for playing.
Wait, that's it?
It's too
Wait.
easy.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll add one.
Go
All
for
right.
it.
All right. A, Marvel, B, DC, or both?
Oh man, neither.
I think that's a totally acceptable answer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't even really know, Chris. Like I'm out of that loop, if you will.
Uh,
What do you what are you doing when you're having a great time and you're not working?
Oh, I'm hanging out with friends and family. I've got two boys. They're a little bit older now to call them boys. They're 22 and 20. Um, so I just love doing really anything with them. I'm pretty into sports and the arts to an extent, but I'm not into the Marvel category. I think maybe because of my kid's age, it passes a little bit. I think the last movie I saw in that realm was Iron Man 2, I believe.
okay.
So I like that movie. I like that movie, but I'm not a connoisseur of the Marvel realm.
All
Yeah.
right. So where that you're based in Colorado.
Yes.
So sports out there.
Um, Personally, I'm from Michigan originally, so
Okay.
I'm a Detroit guy at heart,
Spartan,
and
I think.
so I'm a
Spartan.
Spartan
Yeah.
fan. I went to Michigan State. I'm a Detroit sports fan. Yeah,
Okay.
all four.
Okay.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I
So
know many Detroit sports fans. Detroit and Cleveland are pretty close.
We've been long suffering
You're having a really good
fan
NFL
base.
season.
Yes, for the
Yeah.
first time in about 45 years or so.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Do you ever go to the quintessential Thanksgiving Detroit game? Or have you
Yes,
ever been to that?
I went to like almost all of them growing up. That was like
Really?
tradition. Yeah, we
What
would
are
go
they
to.
like? What's it like to get up and think to yourself, instead of the normal thing of having family over, I'm gonna get into a car, I'm gonna tailgate, I'm gonna have a blast.
Well, I didn't tailgate. I was like 7, you know, and
Well, listen,
9 and 11.
I've been to Detroit.
Uh,
There's no age minimum
that's true.
in that parking lot.
No, but it was normal because that's what we did. From the time I remember being 4 or 5 years old, my dad, my brother, we'd go with another family. I had two boys we're really good friends with. The six of us would go to this Thanksgiving Day game every year. We'd usually lose, and then we'd go home and eat turkey. So it's just kind of
That's pretty
the
awesome.
way we did it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that sounds like a good day.
yeah.
Chris and I never do these interviews without mentioning food at some point here.
Absolutely. Whenever we can.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a little bit of a foodie. But I love to cook, and I'm pretty into barbecue and smoking stuff. So yeah, we could talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So
maybe
go
in another round.
go to dish.
Yeah. I was
Oh,
gonna ask the same question.
smoked chicken quarter with an Alabama white sauce.
Whew.
Whoa. Okay. So I'm not
I
familiar with an
I
Alabama
have
white
so many
sauce.
follow-up questions.
Yeah. What's an Alabama white sauce? Now I need to know this.
An Alabama white sauce is a mayonnaise base with some apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, salt, pepper, some other seasonings. You can get creative with it. Maybe put horseradish in, depends how hot you want it to be, or spicy. And then let that chill and marinate for typically a day. And then I'll smoke the chicken for hour and a half. And then I'll put it on the grill to just crisp it and char it a little bit. Let that cool. Hit it with the white sauce. It's amazing.
Really? So
Yeah.
the sauce always stays cool. So it's never like you're not heating
No,
that. You're
I'll
not.
put it on. I'll put it on when it's on the grill and just glaze it, and then I'll add more once it's off. But I'll take it out of the fridge so it's room temperature. It's not like actually cool. It's like
Okay.
just room temperature when you're
Oh,
serving
that
it.
sounds
Yeah,
good.
it's really good.
Oh
That sounds
no.
good. I'm glad we recorded this.
Yes. Now.
Well, for
So for
a
those.
better look at it, go check out Tuffy Stone on YouTube. He's like the world barbecue champion, and he
Okay.
masters this white sauce. You can get the full scoop there.
Okay.
No pun intended. Yeah.
So, but for those of you watching, we will ask Jordan for the recipe and include it in the
We'll
notes
share it in the
below.
notes.
in the notes
That's
below.
right.
So
Yeah.
look for that.
You won't do it as good as Jordan, but
No,
it'll be close.
but we'll get his address. You could stop by, and
That's
we'll
right.
put that in the notes that was
Yeah,
down below as well.
Do I get to ask you guys? What's the go-to?
sure. But unfortunately, mine's going to be really short because I am not good. I am not good at cooking. So, Chris, you might have a better answer than me. What would your answer be?
Well, it depends seasonally, but right now,
Oh,
yeah, right now I'm a big red curry fan. So I had red curry with tofu and vegetables. So
Yum.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
really good.
yeah. Chris is a joy to eat with, just from past experience.
Yes. He's being a little facetious there in that
Totally
I am
genuine.
I'm complicated. I'm vegan and gluten free, so
Right.
yes, I have issues.
But yeah, this has been fun.
This has been
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for doing this with us. And do you want to?
Yeah,
Should we close, Chris?
absolutely. Thank you, Jordan, for the good work you're doing because you know, it means a lot to me that there are companies out there doing good stuff like this.
Thank you guys. I enjoyed it.
Excellent.
Appreciate
All
it.
right.
Have a good one, guys.